morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Today our lesson is about the two great commandments, or as we call it, the summary of the law, the summary of all the law. And reading that lesson to you today is Mrs. Bodecker.
A reading from the Gospel according to St. Matthew. When the Pharisees heard that Jesus had been bested by the Sadducees, they sent a lawyer to ask Jesus this question: "Teacher, which commandment is the greatest one of all?" Jesus said, "Love the Lord your God with all your soul and with all your heart and with all your mind. That is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the other commandments are built on these." The Gospel of the Lord.
Good morning. Matthew chapter 22, verse 34 through 40. But when the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together. Then one of them, a lawyer, asked him a question, testing him, and saying, "Teacher, which is the great commandment in the law?" Jesus said to him, "You shall love your Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like it. You should love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets."
Hey guys, I'm Casey. I'm one of the high school Sunday school teachers, and today we're going to talk about what you guys just learned about, which are the two great commandments. So last week we learned about the 10 commandments that were given to Moses from God when the Jews were in the desert. And they are numbered 1 through 10. They basically give us rules to live by to be safe, healthy, and to follow God's word in our actions and in our everyday lives. So, in the story we read today, this is basically to give you a little bit of this background. This is when Jesus was fully in his ministry in Jerusalem, and he was at the temple speaking with the Pharisees and the Sadducees, which were they were Jews that were highly educated in the Torah, which is the Jewish, basically the Old Testament for us. They knew almost every word. They probably had everything memorized, and so they didn't like that Jesus was there teaching and trying to, build his church. And so what they were trying to do was to trip him up. They were trying to get him to say something wrong that would prove that he was not the Messiah. And so the question asked of him was, "Jesus, what is the most important commandment?" Now, the Pharisees who said that knew that there was not one most important commandment out of the ones that were given by God. They were all equally important. And so he was trying to trick him. So instead, Jesus gave his own commandment. He said to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And the second commandment, which they didn't ask for, but he gave anyway, saying, "Love your neighbor as you love yourself." So, when we look at these two commandments, let's look back on the 10 commandments. We're going to separate them like this. The first 4 commandments relate to God and how our relationship with God works. We are to have no other gods. We are to have no idols. We are supposed to treat his name with respect, meaning we don't use it as a bad word. And we work 6 days and we rest 1 day, meaning that's Sunday when we go to church and we worship. So when we look at the first one, let's compare. This first one essentially encompasses all 4 of the first commandments. If we follow this commandment to the letter, we are also going to do this because we love God. Then we look at the second one. The last 6 commandments: obey your parents, do not hurt others, keep your promises, do not steal, always tell the truth, and don't be jealous. Those are how we relate to each other. And so essentially, if we are loving our neighbor as ourselves, we won't be doing any of these things. So what Jesus did really cleverly was essentially he gave us 2 commandments that fit all of the 10 commandments that all of the Jews lived by in his day and time. So it's nice and easy to remember. Just 2 little commandments, and that's really all that we need to do. Simple enough. So what we're going to do next is a little craft, just to kind of discuss a little bit further the 2 commandments with Mr. Colby. Hope you had a great time.
Hi, I'm Mr. Colby. We're going to do a craft today to talk about the 2 great commandments. Unfortunately, Miss Casey ate all the other marshmallows. So today, I'm going to use blue and pink marshmallows and green pasta so you can hopefully see it a little better. Now, the 2 great commandments are extremely important building blocks as we attempt to live our Christian lives. And today, we're going to depict that with the use of marshmallows and raw pasta. Now, you're going to use the pasta to poke into the marshmallows, and we're going to try to build a structure as big as we can. I'm just going to show you a little example of how to do it. Just poking it into marshmallows. And you have different sizes. If I were you, I'd use the big marshmallows on the bottom and the little ones as you get higher. You can do a triangle or a square to start, but in the end, you're hoping to build something a little bigger. And I built one so you can just see a little example of one right here. And it's got all the marshmallows together in the tower. If you want, you can go a little bit higher. Put a little flag on top. All right, guys. Hope you have fun.